We've got Carl Craig West from the Auckland Business Builders Club to show us how you can outmarket your competition in less than 20 minutes a day. Carl's a serial entrepreneur. I had to reread that a number of times. Speaker, trainer, and best-selling author. He's the former owner of the award-winning Buzz Website Design, which was a website design and marketing agency, the Leicester Business Expo, a major regional small business growth and expo trade show. He now helps Auckland small businesses to get more customers and get more done through the Auckland Business Builders Club. So take it away, Carl.
Does that sound better? Yeah. Brilliant. Good that you can all hear me. Well, thank you very much for coming out this evening. Does this title intrigue you? Okay, well, when I got the email from Simon, he said there'll be about 70-odd people in the room. And I thought, first of all, they can't all be odd. My second thought was, well, they're accountants. But anyway, enough of the accountant. I've got plenty of accountant jokes. I have been paid for doing stand-up. Maybe they just paid me to go away. But the whole point of this is, actually, marketing is really, really straightforward. Now, how many people here do some kind of marketing? Okay, good. How many in the room are in charge of the budgets for marketing? Okay. How many people think marketing is a dry subject? All right, brilliant. Well, that's fine, because those of you who are in charge of marketing budgets, put your hand up if you fully understand what marketing is all about. Sure, brilliant. Because I'm going to give you a fantastic trick to make a marketing department sweat buckets in a bit. Right, so how to outmarket your competition in 20 minutes a day. I've got about half an hour to do this, 114 slides. It's going to be a rush. I'm kidding, there's only 73. Right, so first things first. If you want to connect, that's where we are, Smashing Self-Employment. It's the name of the overriding company. I'm the founder of the Auckland Business Builders Club. And as Al said, I help Auckland business owners get more customers, get more done, and make their business and marketing a lot more manageable. Because in my view, marketing should be manageable. Anybody heard of Peter Drucker? Yes, of course we have. Peter Drucker said, whatever you can measure, you can manage, right? And marketing should be measurable. Now, how many people have ever given money? It's a question of hands. How many people have given money to a marketing department and you have no idea what they do with it? They just keep asking for money. How many people who give money to marketing and think, I have no idea if that's ever going to come back? See, I'm of the opinion that marketing is measurable. There's no excuse for what Charles Schwab said 100 years ago, where he said 50% of my marketing budget is wasted. The problem is I don't know which 50%. There's no excuse for that these days because everything is measurable. Everything you do in your marketing is trackable. From a broad spread advertising campaign through billboards or national advertising, radio, television, all the way down to just a $10 a day spend on Facebook advertising and marketing. It's all trackable in some way, shape or form. The technology is there. So for those of you who manage marketing budgets, try this. 2 o'clock on a Friday afternoon. I want to report to my desk at 10 o'clock. I want you to show me how all of this provides a return on investment. And I just watch the panic in their eyes. Because sadly, for a long time, marketing has struggled to justify its existence. And a lot of people in my experience, having run a marketing agency for 10 years, a lot of people who do their own marketing don't understand what they're doing. Oftentimes it's badly targeted. We're going to come on to that. Often they have no idea if it's providing any kind of return. They've just been told they've got to do it. Or worse still, a marketing guru has said, you've got to be on this channel now because everybody's going onto this channel. Who's ever heard of Clubhouse? It's the latest, hottest property. Where are you? Don't bother, because TikTok is already fading. Whereas last year, everybody, oh, you've got to be on TikTok. There were experts in TikTok coming out of the woodwork. TikTok marketing in just 3 simple steps, 3-hour seminar, $650. For TikTok. So it all boils down to what it is you're doing. But I believe that all marketing should be providing a return on investment, like any spend in business. Make sense? You invest in more staff, you expect your profitability, business growth to go on. You invest in bigger premises, you know that that's going to pay off. If you invest in more, you should get more, but marketing is often such a gray area. And I'm not a fan of gray areas in business. I've run a few businesses in my life with some great success, some humongous failure. But I know now what works, what doesn't. And I'm a huge fan of what works. So I always say to people, I'm a big fan of making marketing manageable, but I'm also a big fan of cutting through the BS, getting rid of the waffle, avoiding the fluffy. Oh, we're just going to get your brand out there, whatever the hell that means. Let's just go for results, shall we? Let's think if we're going to spend $1,000, we stand a chance of getting $2,000 back at some point. Does that make sense? So, right. So let's get on with it. So I'm going to give you now the best marketing advice ever. Ever. Really. My name is Carl Craig West. Has anybody got any questions? Well, you laugh, but I've done tons of research on this kind of stuff over the last 5 years in our marketing agency, and fewer than 1 in 20 small businesses do marketing every day. Less than 5%. If you want to beat your competition, you don't even have to do it every day. You have to do it every other day, and you'll beat the majority of your competition. Because so few people do it. Once I got to grips with this, we doubled the sales in our business in just under 9 months. It's that powerful. And our marketing at the time wasn't even that good. It was just consistent. And that's where most people fall down in their marketing. They're inconsistent. They'll put blog posts out for a couple of weeks and think, it's taking up time. I could be doing 101 other things. Oh, look, funny cat video on Facebook. And they go on to something else. Whereas if they'd stuck with it for a handful of months, their website would start climbing up the rankings because there's good content on it, and Google will notice, and you'll start getting positioned against your competition in the search results. Cause and effect, return on investment, measurable return on investment. So this, if you take nothing else away, do this. Go into your marketing department, right, I want a report Monday morning, 10 o'clock, show me how you're doing marketing every day. Watch the panic in their eyes. It's great. I've done it. It's fantastic. All right, ABCs of marketing. The biggest reason most marketing fails is because it's badly targeted. They're trying to sell to the wrong people, using the wrong message, typically through the wrong channel. Okay? All marketing starts with the folks you're selling to. So if you're selling to small businesses, you need to understand small businesses. You need to know where they hang out. If you're selling to single mums, you need to know where single mums go. You need to know what it is they do, what their issues are, what they read, where they hang out, what they talk about, what social platforms they use, etc. Until you fully understand your audience, the boast, which is the next bit, what you're saying to them, is going to be missed because you're likely to use the wrong channels. So, for example, if you wanted to market to the under 25s, Facebook will be a waste of time. However, you want to market to the silver surfers, the 50s and over, Facebook is the place to go on. Now, the reason why this has turned on its head is because Nana and Granddad are getting onto Facebook. But grandchildren are getting off of Facebook because I'm not having Nana and Granddad spying on me. So the channels have changed. Lots of young people are getting into TikTok. Most people in this room, some people may not have ever heard of it. Or think, but it's all about channels. If you want to sell to consumers, Instagram is a good place to be. LinkedIn will be a total waste of time. Make sense? And so on. But it always comes back to who you're selling to. How much do you know about them? Do you know what their issues are? Do you know how you are solving their problems, making their lives better? Businesses always make people's lives better in some way, shape, or form. That's what we're here to do. Yep. Whether that's if you're a cosmetic dentist, you're making people feel better about their smile. Teeth whitening, teeth straightening. Makes sense? Doesn't matter how many letters you have after your name. It doesn't matter if you've had 20 years worth of university. Can you make me feel good because I like the way I look in the mirror when I smile? That's what people buy. So the WIIFM in there is not a radio station. I hate to break it to you. It's what's in it for me. You see, once you understand who you're selling to and what their issues are and what problems you're solving, it doesn't matter whether you're selling to consumers or businesses, you need to understand what it is you're doing. How are you helping these people? Because you will sell the what's in it for them, the what's in it for me. No one buys anything for no reason, except handbags. Before you know, and golf clubs. To be honest, I've got a set of golf clubs. If I bought myself a $1,000 driver, wouldn't improve my game at all. Might make me think it is, but I'm rubbish. But the point is, people buy stuff for a reason. And once you know your audience, you can know the reasons why they're likely to buy what you have to offer. And then, and only then, can you start putting it out onto channels. And these are the methods by which you get your brag, your boast across to your audience. And that's it. But you need to do these three in order. Typically, when somebody starts a business, they do them the wrong way around. They start with the channels. Oh, we got this business, great. We're going to have a website. We're going to have some business cards. We've got some flyers, we've got some pop-up banners like this. Fantastic. And then they wonder why the marketing doesn't work, because actually they wrote their website based on what they think rather than having a look at what their audience wants. I've seen websites written by IT companies. They're just brilliant because they're so stuffed full of jargon. And unless you're an IT guy, I used to be an IT guy, no long-term side effects. Unless you're an IT guy, you just wouldn't get it. And they're trying to sell IT support services to business owners who, quite frankly, want an IT support service because they don't understand the bloody jargon. But they try selling in jargon. Now, I'll tell you how geeky the world has become. Who's ever heard of the Duolingo app? Yeah? You can't learn Maori on the Duolingo app, but you can learn Klingon. Go figure. So I looked, I wanted to learn some Maori, but I can learn Klingon. So there we go. The ABCs of marketing, and all marketing needs to revolve around this. If you don't understand who you're selling to and what you're trying to say to them, your channels don't matter. The chances are good a big chunk of your marketing is going to be wasted. All right, what's in it for me? So the key things to get across. Why should I do business with you? Who's ever heard of a unique selling proposition, a USP? Right, forget it. The reason I say that is because there's really very little uniqueness about business today. There are very few unique propositions. So you've got to work on something, and there's another one, just really displaying my techie roots, an MDSA. No, it's not a virus. Measurable difference, specific advantage. Why are you different from your competition, and what's the advantage of going to you? And this should be across all of your marketing, all of it, from your business cards to flyers, your websites, leaflets, emails you put out, proposals, the lot. Why are you different? And what's the advantage of doing business with you? Measurable difference, specific advantage. Again, nobody buys anything for no reason. What makes you special? And how are you going to make my smile brighter? I wrote an ad a number of years ago for a dental a cosmetic dentist called Duncan. I wanted him so badly to call his website Duncan the Dentist. But no, I had a client called Bob the Plumber. I just so wanted his branding to be Bob the Plumber. I just thought it was brilliant. No. Some people just got no sense of humor and they say accountants are bad. But you've always got to look to where how you're going to make people's lives better. All marketing revolves around it. Oh, yeah, while I'm there, why did the accountant cross the road? Because he looked in the books and it's what he did last year. Okay, and just in case you're wondering if there's any channels out there you might be able to use, here's just a quick list I knocked up. There is no shortage of things to do in marketing. Now, it doesn't mean you should try all of them. Please don't, because you will get nowhere. You'll do none of them well, most of them very badly, and the results will be all over the place. You only need to get good, really good at a handful. And I'm saying less than 10, ideally 7 or 8. no company, unless you've got a massive marketing department, should be doing dozens of marketing channels. Get good at a few, because if you nail them, it will be a cash cow forever, instead of just going on to the next big thing. I got a friend who's a social media marketing specialist, and he was banging on last year about TikTok, did seminars in networking events about TikTok. And I said, I'll wager within a year, TikTok will be on the wane and something else will be up to replace it. And it's happened. TikTok is going like that. Clubhouse is going like that. Okay. Facebook is losing its market share. Can anybody tell me what the #1 social media on the planet is right now? It's YouTube. More people spend time on YouTube than any other channel on the planet. We're going to come on to that. But yes, you shouldn't be short of things to do. Your list. Now, those of you who are in the know, I'm told there's an accountant or two in the room, when a company is sold, it's typically the goodwill and the viability of its customer list and potential customer list that properly dictates its value. When Facebook went to IPO, it was valued at $9 billion or something. It was some stupid amount of money. No, it was more than that. It was a lot more than that. And to that point, it had only made $40,000 in profit. Not many people know that. So a company that only made 40 grand was tens of billions. I think it was 90 billion it was valued at when it went to IPO at the end of day one. Why was that? It was barely profitable. It was in the list. At the time, they had the largest consumer database, largest active consumer database on the planet. Okay, except maybe the NSA. They know everything. But a lot of people don't really value their lists. A lot of people stop marketing to their customers the minute they get that first sale. Once they're in the door, we can ignore them. They'll just stay because we're keeping them happy, aren't we? And this is the thing. Your list is your most important asset. If you nurture a client list and do it well, you'll never be short of work. Now, can anybody tell me what the #1 reason customers go from one supplier to another? That's a good, no reason to stay. That's a good answer. Anyone else? So bad service. That's a good one. Nobody's communicated with them. Anyone else? Approached by a competitor. There was another one over here. Price. What was that one? Incentivized. All good answers. Go on. Feel neglected. 2/3 of your customers will go to somebody else because they don't feel like you value them. 10% will move on price. Just 10%. The #1 reason, well over 50% of people going from one supplier to another is because they just don't feel valued. I don't feel important enough. I'm just a number. Anybody ever felt like that? Banks are guilty. Financial services industry is guilty. Just treating people like numbers. Oh, what's the collective word for bankers? A wunch. A wunch of bankers. So it took a while. You should definitely be marketing to customers. The old sales funnel no longer works. It needs to be a sales hourglass. You get people down here to sale, and then you nurture them for as long and as well as you possibly can, because your customers are always going to be your cash cow, and if you look after them, it will provide you with food for a long time. But so few businesses do. So marketing customers, it's your responsibility to remind your customers to do business with you. It's not their responsibility to remember. And once I got this, it was just crazy, because I was just as guilty of working hard to get a customer through the door. We've taken some money from them. We've done some work for them. And then we email them every now and then. Every year we send them a bill for looking after their website. Anybody guilty of something similar? It is so common. And I used to work for a fairly sizable accountancy practice in the UK. I looked after all their technology. How many accountants does it take to change a light bulb? Change? Had some of that in 1981. Wasn't pretty. And besides, working in the dark, good cost cutter. Trying to drag this accountancy practice into the early part of the 21st century was like, well, it was like milking peanuts. You laugh, there is peanut milk. I don't know how they do it. But market to your customers. The worst thing you could ever possibly hear from a customer is, I didn't know you did that. If you have ever heard that, shame on you. Now, who's ever heard of a windows of opportunity? Windows of opportunity is effectively just a grid. Services down one side, clients across the top, and you tick the box where they meet. So the client buys that service and so on. I did this windows of opportunity exercise with a group of accountants. It was my first ever client when I got kicked out of, I got made redundant. The company went through a merger for £4.3 million. Sounds like a sellout to me. But it was a merger. We weren't allowed to say buyout. Merger. And we all got given a bunch of worthless shares as well. Fantastic. Not bitter. Really not bitter. So, but the day after, I did a half day as a marketing consultancy with this local accountancy firm, considerably smaller than the one I'd just come from. And we did this windows of opportunity grid. And I said, look, if you guys did nothing more, because these guys sold about 12, 13 different services, but they quickly realized that very few of their clients bought more than one or two, despite the fact that those clients could buy more than one service. And I said, if you do nothing more than this for the next year, I promise you your business will grow. It took them 18 months to double the size of their business, just selling to existing customers. Your existing customers are a cash cow. A cash cow needs love. It needs nurturing. Sometimes it needs fertilizer. Occasionally you need to clean the poop out of the way. But if you look after them, they will provide food. The irony is fewer than 20%, particularly small businesses, will take care of their customers, the people they already do business with, the people who already trust them, the people who've already given them money. Fewer than 20%. And the key thing is to aim for wallet share. Apple don't want to sell everybody an iPhone. They don't want everybody to use MacBook, but they want every Apple user to buy every possible Apple product that they can. They don't need massive share of the market. They want massive share of your wallet. And they've got Apple fans so sold that they'll queue up for days just to get the latest iPhone, even if it is bendy when you sit on it and breaks when it gets too warm in the sunshine. People buy them, they're sold because they're so bought into the Apple culture, and Apple knows this. They'll buy an iPhone, they'll probably buy a MacBook. They buy a MacBook, they'll probably be using iTunes. And it's all money, it's all wallet share. So don't neglect your customers. It's okay to sell to your customers. It's the easiest sales you will ever make. Oh yeah, did I mention this one yet? This is, tattoo this on your brain. Just take this away, write it down, photograph it, have a selfie with this behind you, take it away, put it on your wall, make it your screensaver, but do it. Email marketing, right. Who brought up the Privacy Act 2020? Yeah, Stephen. Email marketing provides, I'm going to get all accountancy here, arguably the best return on investment. See what I did there? In marketing. Simply because with a click of a few buttons, you can reach every single one of your customers and a big chunk of your potential customers, if they're on your database, with a message of some kind. And email marketing starts at like $15 a month. The ROI is huge if it's done right. Now, here's a quick thing. A friend of mine who is a tax consultant in the UK, she is one of the top 20 consultants for the UK equivalent of GST, the world's sexiest subject. It's 20% in the UK. She goes around and says, yep, I know 20% of everything. I convinced her to stop sending out her newsletter once a month and send it out every 2 weeks. But I don't want to pester my customers. Anybody ever felt like that? That's just such a Victorian way of thinking. Just drop it. Because in a month's time, they've forgotten about you. Changed it to every 2 weeks, and funnily enough, she got more inquiries from her database than she'd ever done. Why? Because it's your responsibility to remind your market to do business with you, not their responsibility to remember. Now, this woman's actually written a handful of books about her subject, and she sells them regularly through her website. I was so jealous because I taught her to do SEO so well. She got 3,500 visitors a month to a tax website. How is that even possible? But again, it's fantastic for nurturing leads. It's great for marketing to existing customers. It's great for engaging with potential customers. But you need to do it consistently. It comes back to the marketing every day. Be consistent. But this is just low-hanging fruit marketing, this is. Ironically, again, so few small businesses properly get to grips with this. You've got to do it well. You've got to be helpful. You've got to be useful. You've got to provide stuff that people want to read. And whatever you do, don't call it a newsletter. Oh my God, put your hand up if any of you have subscribed to a newsletter in the last few months. There are always a couple of weirdos. No one does. Because who's got an inbox which is stuffed full of crap? We all do. So make sure that whatever you send to people is useful, interesting, engaging. And yes, occasionally make it funny. Maybe not too funny. But, if you've got people who send you stuff that's just joke of the week, then tell them, send it to somewhere else. Send it to my personal email address. I'll add it to 3,301 others that are waiting to be read. But email marketing is no excuse for this. It's dead easy to do. It's dirt cheap. I use a software called Active Campaign. It provides me with an awful lot of marketing automation as well. So I can spam people. I can email people as often without even having to think about it. But the reason I mentioned the Privacy Act is because Mailchimp, you may have heard of Mailchimp, they've been hacked loads of times. Loads of times. Anybody knew about that? Good at keeping it quiet. Facebook have been hacked loads of times. And now, if you take people's data, arguably, I don't know how they're going to deal with this, the GDPR in Europe was quite a big deal. Funnily enough, there were loads of GDPR experts that turned up that nobody knew existed before the legislation was coming into play. But Mailchimp have a very American idea of security. And it goes like this. We've got the US State Department on our side, so you can go and sing. They'll do whatever they want. Once you've given data to them, they're not going to tell you that they've been hacked. Okay, so be aware. But I like Active Campaign. They are very good. Again, it's an American company, but it's great. But there's no excuse. It's dead easy to do. Right, your website. Websites. One of my biggest frustrations with a website is that they're often really well designed. Got some lovely pictures. Got some really good copy. And then the owners of the website go and wee all over it. And they do the same with their marketing as well. We can do this. We've got that. We've got a very pretty office, which you're paying for, by the way, as a client. We've got a support team. We've got account managers, which you're paying for, by the way. We, me, us, I. Now, in all honesty, do your clients and customers give a damn about you? Ooh, not so sure, not so sure. Jury's out. No, they don't. What they care about is what I said earlier. What are you going to do for them? How are you going to make their lives better? They can find somebody who can do it better. They might just. What they care about is what you're doing for them, not about you. I did an experiment a few years ago in a city called Birmingham. If you ever go to England, don't go to Birmingham. Genuinely don't. It was I'll tell you what, the Nazis did us a favor and flattened lots of it. Sadly, they did a worse job in putting it back together. How that was possible, I may never know. But anyway, aside, in Birmingham, horrible toilets were placed. Did I mention that? So I did this experiment. So great, what we're going to do is going to run some searches and we're going to find some random websites and we'll see how well it goes. I was doing about how to make websites effective. That was the talk. And so we did search. We did a search on solicitor in Edinburgh. Now, Edinburgh, go to Edinburgh. It's fantastic. There's a street there called Rose Street. It's 9 miles long. And I set you a challenge. Have a drink in every bar along Rose Street. You won't get halfway. It's fantastic. But it's a lot of bars. So there was a law firm in Edinburgh, a small firm with a massive great photograph of the Forth Rail Bridge, which is a Victorian rail bridge that goes across the estuary, the river mouth. And so what the hell has that got to do with being a law firm? Nothing. It was irrelevant. And the whole thing was all about them, how great they thought they were. And sadly, a lot of marketing is all about the person who provides the service and not about what they're doing to help their customers. And the people who will only ever buy from you if they can see something in it for them. Not about how great you think you are, not about how professional you think you are, not about how many letters you have after your name. We've got 250 years worth of combined experience. We've been in business since 1942, and the senior partner can remember the day we opened the doors. So it's not about you, it's about them. Mix up content, call to action, tell people what to do next. Make sure it's yours. Because your website is the only online real estate you own. Facebook belongs to somebody else. LinkedIn belongs to somebody else. The email platforms belong to somebody else. Facebook are notoriously good at changing the algorithm for business pages. It damn near put a friend of mine out of business because she relied on bunging stuff onto Facebook and people buying it. Facebook overnight pretty much shut her down. She had to come up with something else. And they're good at that because they don't have to give a damn about you. It's their platform, not yours. You're just renting space. So make sure you've got a proper website, which is properly hosted with a proper domain, rather than something like a Wix website or a Squarespace or whatever, because that's not yours. And the search engines will know it's not yours. And sort out the on-site SEO. You can be found in the search engines. I've proven this over and over again with clients. I've got clients who do the same thing again. It's all about content. But remember, your website should be the hub of all of your online marketing activity. Everything else should point to it, because that's where you do your best sales, and it's your shop window. It's your only shop window you properly control. Okay, makes sense. Right, so quick lesson in SEO. Got that? I didn't do that. The irony is I used to run a web design company. I can't design worth toffing. I can write, I can talk for the country, but I can't design. So I had a designer, and Claire did the design. All things around the web that you've got, all your marketing, etc., should point back to your website in some way, shape, or form. That's what I'm going to say on that, because I've got to get on. Right. Social media, or as I like to call it, anti-social media, should always be around who you're selling to. Comes back to what I said right at the beginning about your audience. Your channels depend on your audience. Be useful, mix up the content types, but make sure you're providing value in some way, shape, or form. And yes, it's okay to sell on social media. It's okay to put out a marketing message. I call mine a blatant marketing plug. And funnily enough, people smile and they click. It works. Organic reach is poor, so consider placing ads. Facebook marketing is still quite cheap, but there's a knack to it. You can waste an awful lot of money. Google ads are quite pricey, but again, if you've got a high value product or service, you can actually turn that into profit. But you need to get help, because the Google industry has what's known as the Google stupid tax. In other words, those who don't know what they're doing go and spend money on ads, they waste a load of blinking money, and then they're convinced it doesn't work. It does work, you're just stupid. Because you didn't get help. There is a knack to it, and it's not something that's blatantly obvious. In social media, use social media management software like Buffer, or another one is Hootsuite. There's a handful out there. So you can schedule stuff out for the week, so you don't have to go into all the platforms all the time. If you're spending more than about 10, 15 minutes a day on social media, you're wasting your time. You're wasting a big chunk of it. My friend Julia is a social media marketing specialist. She said, I just hate going to Facebook. I'll go on there to do some work, and 40 minutes later, I'm still looking at wedding photographs from people I don't even know. Because it's there to distract you. Oh, look, funny cat video. You know, it's there to be, it's designed to keep you there. That's what the whole algorithm is about. So be careful with using your time. Use a social media management software. I post out my social media. I only go into it once a week, use Buffer, plug it all out for the week, tell her where I want it to go, what time I want it to go, and I click send. I just schedule it all out in one fell swoop. It takes me about an hour a week to do all my social media marketing by using the right tools. And Buffer is dirt cheap. I think it's like something like $18 a month. It's nothing. And you can manage a dozen different social media platforms. I use Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn. Okay. So again, it's a time saver. That's what I said about 20 minutes a day. Averaged out, you can do this in 20 minutes a day. All right. YouTube, my favorite. YouTube is just brilliant. It's owned and loved by Google. And what's even better, it's very good for SEO. If you've got YouTube videos embedded into your website, Google will like your website. The irony is, every web designer on the planet knows that video and YouTube is important. Yet nearly none of them have got any kind of presence or use YouTube video at all. My little website design and marketing agency in Leicester, we outperformed almost all of our competitors, even the guys who were much bigger, because we used YouTube prolifically. By the time I sold the company in November, we had 170 videos on YouTube. Large chunk of them were embedded into the website. Google absolutely loved it. For loads of different search terms, we outperformed our competitors. It is the second biggest search engine. Why wouldn't you want to be on the second biggest search engine on the planet? The irony is, fewer than 1 in 20 businesses of all sizes have a decent presence on YouTube. I think maybe 1 in 50 small businesses have a presence on YouTube. So you want to outperform your competition in your marketing, particularly in SEO, just get into YouTube. It's great. And it doesn't mean you have to do what I do, which is stand in front of a camera and talk. You can talk over a slideshow. You could have a reel done. There's so many different things you can do. And you don't have to spend a ton of money doing it. It's free editing software. Watch some videos, get a bit of practice. Most smartphones have an HD camera with reasonably good sound quality on it. I've got a tripod, cost me about $30. A little thing on the top from eBay cost me £6, about $11. I use my phone and some free video editing software. That's it. Oh, and I bought a cable and I bought a lapel mic, which I think maybe cost me about $30. And that's it. I just use the office at home, stand in front of the camera and I talk. Edit the software, bung it down to YouTube, bung those YouTube videos out on across all the social media using Buffer, embedded into my video at some point in the future in a blog post. Job's a good one. And believe it or not, it can be done 20 minutes a day. Oh yeah, have we gone over this one yet? Tattoo this on your brain. Remember this. Right, referrals. How to get referrals? Just go and ask. For goodness sake, don't worry about it. Some people will say yes, some people will say no. So what? But just ask for referrals. Offer an incentive, a referral fee. Is that legal here? Okay. Or give something back. I want to tell you a story. One of my favorite clients was a woman called Nicola, not because she's a member of the opposite sex, I hasten to add, but she's a very, very funny solicitor. She ran a business of about 6 people at the time. I built her a website, and it was an office full of women. And without fail, I got sexually harassed when I went to visit them. And funnily enough, I found it funny. But Nicola sent a very good friend of hers who became an interior designer. Her husband had left her for a younger, faster model, so she needed to earn a living, so she started up an interior design business because that's what she knew. All good. So I built a website for Deborah. And so a few days later, I phoned up Nicola and said, right, I appreciate you sending Deb. She's a great client, fantastic referral. I'm going to buy you and everybody else in the office pizza for lunch to say thanks. I'm going to phone back in 5 minutes to get your order. So I phoned back in 5 minutes, and Nicola says, you do know we're all on diets? And I said, well, I can order flipping salad if you want. So no, pizza's good. Funny how that turned out. And so I had Domino's, which was only a few hundred meters from her office, deliver a bunch of pizzas around to there. Interestingly enough, Nicola sent 2 more clients, and 2 of her staff sent some of their friends to me as a web designer. Cost me £30. It was $55 worth of pizza. Was it a damn good investment? Of course it was. And the reason is it's tangible. Somebody gives you a referral, put something tangible back to them. Now, I've got a bit of time, but I want to tell you this because I'm nearly done. I did some work for a guy called Gareth, who was a partner in a financial services business. And Gareth was a mortgage expert. The business did mortgage, pensions, life insurance, and other related financial services. There was about 4 or 5 people in the business. So Gareth asked me to help him write a marketing plan. So I said, well, how are you doing on referrals? And he said, well, we do okay. And I said, have you got people who refer to you on a regular basis? And he said, yeah, there's a handful. I said, brilliant. What I'd like you to do is write up a list, starting with the top referrer and going down of all of those people who sent you other clients, whether that's family members or colleagues or whatever. I said, yeah, okay, great. And what you're going to do, starting at the top, you are going to phone them up and says, I'd like to buy you and your partner dinner at your favorite local restaurant. It's all on me. I'll book a taxi there and back, pay for the food, pay for the wine. You're just going to have a good time because you've sent so much work to me. And he said, that's going to cost me a fortune. I said, how much is a client worth to you? He says, well, minimum £900. I said, you tight bastard. So you don't want to give back 100 for the guy that sent you for nothing, 900 quid's worth of turnover. I said, but trust me, all right? I promise this will be a good investment. So he started doing this. He did them in chunks of 10, phoned them up, started buying dinners. And so the first month, not a lot happened. The second month, when he walked into the room for our meeting, you just literally, he could have been a dog with 2 tails. His whole body was wagging. I said, go on, tell me what's happened. And he says, well, you ain't going to believe this, but one of the guy's wives, sisters, yeah, her husband runs a company in London with 100 staff. Right? They've invited us to go down and do a company group life policy, company pension policy, and loads of other stuff besides. I said, so what's that worth to you? It's like tens of thousands, easily £40,000 worth of fees. I said, so 100 quid's worth of food was all right, was it? And that penny dropped because he made it real. He made it tangible. When somebody gives you a referral, to them, it's intangible. But here's the psychology. When you give something back, something tangible back, whether that's a meal or a book or a present, don't give booze. Don't ever give booze. They feel like they owe you psychologically because they've given you something intangible. You put something in their hand. Psychologically, that's heavily weighted in your favor. It's not a trick. It's just good business. Because some people might get offended. And not only that, it's easy to do. It's too easy to do. A bottle of whiskey, bottle of wine. Anybody could do that. Put some thought into it, especially if they've been a damn good referrer. Please put some thought into it. The more thought you put into it, the better it will pay. Right, touch points. Buying pizza for somebody referred to you as a touch point. How many people in the room have ever received a thank you card just for doing business with somebody? A few. How many of you have sent thank you cards? A few. One of the most powerful things you can do is just to send a thank you card. Doesn't have to be simple. Doesn't even have to be expensive. Just a thank you card. When I worked for this accountancy practice, we bought our mortgage through the financial services wing in the company. And when the day we moved in, there was a card on the doorstep. Welcome, Carl, Emma, and family to your new home. Signed by everybody I worked with. I thought, well, made no sense. But it was I got quite emotional because they didn't have to do that. They're my friends. Of course I'm going to buy my mortgage from the guys who work in the building. But they do that for all their customers. Welcome to your new home. Now, the mortgage and life policies and stuff that we did with them probably earned a couple of £1,000 worth of commissions. That's fine. I've got no problem with that. But they do that with all their clients. And their referral rates are huge. What does it cost? It does take a bit of thought, though. And that's the thing. The more thought you can put into it, the better. When my daughter's 18th birthday party, I can remember nearly all of it. I said, what do you want for food at your party? She said, no, just get pizza. So we went round to our local pizza place, which was an independent business. Right, we want 20 pizzas delivering. He said, are you kidding? Said, no, 20 pizzas, just mix them all up. Box of carrots for the vegans. And he delivered all these pizzas. But what he did, he brought Abigail a birthday card. He didn't have to do that. But here I am, several years later, telling you about it. This thank you card, this welcome to your new home. We bought our home in 2001. 20 years later, I'm still telling you, I've told thousands of people that story in talks like this. So touch points, the more you do, the more spontaneous and thought you can put into it, the more you will endear people to you. It keeps people close. People will feel like you value them as a customer. About what I said earlier. And coming to the close, put it into some kind of plan. The only way you're ever going to do marketing every day is if it's planned. Because you cannot do it ad hoc. Because if you do ad hoc and spontaneous marketing, your results are going to be ad hoc and spontaneous. Make sense? Cause and effect. So there's a kind of a plan here. Do something every day. Plan it out quarterly. I know you number geeks are all big on annual planning, but I'd be willing to bet your financial plan for 2020 was dead in the water by the end of April last year. You cannot plan yearly, especially with marketing, because things change so quickly. Plan quarterly. I had a 2020 plan. By the middle of April, it was non-existent. And it continued to be non-existent right to the end of last year, because unfortunately, in the UK is only just opening up after a year, almost a year of over a year of lockdown, with the exception of a few weeks in the summer, which everybody went out and got COVID. It's great. What's not to like? But have a plan in some way, shape, or form. And here's the thing. Who's ever heard of Dave Brailsford? Dave Brailsford was the coach and manager of the UK Sky Tour de France team, which became the most successful Tour de France team in history. He went on to be the coach and manager of the British cycling Olympic cycling team, which became the most successful Olympic cycling team in history. Now, his big deal was not making massive changes. It was making marginal gains compounded. You all know what compound interest is like? Well, you can compound many other things as well, and marketing is one of them. Dave said, right, we're not going to make you 10% more fitter and faster than your competition. You need to be just 1 or 2%. We're going to make the bike, the handlebars, 1% more drag efficient. We're going to make those gears 2 or 3% more efficient. We're going to make the tires more efficient. We're going to make your helmet and your gear more efficient. They turned out the most successful cycling teams in history. Not because he radically overhauled any one thing. It was the aggregation of marginal gains, compound growth. And that's what marketing is. Have a handful of different things you do well. Refine all of them. Measure all of them regularly. But whatever you do, just look to improve always and do something every day. That's it. Thank you very much. Hey, does anyone have any questions?
You had to define marketing. How would you define it?
Define marketing. Actually, it's not actually difficult to answer. Marketing is the stuff you do to get and keep customers. And the and keep is as important as the get. It's the stuff that makes the selling easy. It's a good question, thank you. Anyone else? Oh my God, blinded you all with science. I'm going to be around for a bit. Please pick my brains. I've got 3 copies of my book. Did I say I was an author? I've got some copies of my book. You can have one for asking a question. Well done.
Well done, George.
So, okay. So, Smashing Self-Employment, the ultimate guide to self-employment, survival, and success. You can buy it on Amazon. You can come and tap me up for one. I've got just 2 here. But yeah, please come and grab a card. You look at my website, smashingselfemployment.com. There's loads and loads of blog posts on there. Look at my YouTube channel. There's dozens of videos on there, all about helping you build your business, do stuff better, get more done, make life easier. That's me, Carl Craig West. Thank you.